wonder what you would do if you had £1,000,000. The other day, or the other month really, Heart FM were running a competition to give somebody £1,000,000 for just ringing in really, and it caused a discussion between Emily and I about what we would do if we won £1,000,000, and actually caused a bit of an argument. Even though we hadn't won £1,000,000 and we hadn't even entered the competition, we disagreed on how we would spend it. And I think I even said at the end, well, it's only $1 million. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? Tension that caused about the possibility of having £1,000,000. And I think that's really the theme of our story that we've just or that you've just looked at, which is a tension between one man and his brother about his inheritance. And that man asked Jesus if he would support him and settle the dispute between him and his brother, that he was entitled to the inheritance. That's a lot of money or wealth coming to him. And he asked Jesus to settle the dispute and to effectively back him up. I wonder why he asked Jesus to do that. Perhaps Jesus was a respected teacher and that would give his argument a bit more weight. Perhaps he wanted to make sure he had enough money to live off for the rest of his life. But Jesus didn't say, yes, I agree with you, or settle it. Instead, he said to him, it's not my job to do that. And instead he told him a story, and that was the story we read about the man who loved money. And in that story, as you heard, the rich man there, he was given everything. He was blessed with land, with crops in abundance. He had more than he needed, and he filled his barns up with all the crops. But it wasn't enough for him. Even though God provided for him, it wasn't enough. And instead of being content with that or sharing his wealth, he said, I'm going to rip down my barns and I'm going to build bigger barns and put more crops in there so I can be richer and wealthier and I can enjoy it and relax later on. And then as we heard in that story, God spoke to that man. He said, you're going to lose your life, you fool. You're going to lose your life today. And all the stuff you've been planning for and preparing for, all that wealth you're growing, you're not going to have time to enjoy because your life is gone. I wonder what that story says to you. I wonder what it says to your life. Just a couple of thoughts I had. Number one, God provides. He provides for us all. In this world, there are enough resources to go around. God has provided for us. It's just that some of us don't use the resources properly, and it means others don't have. Some of us want more than we already have. And maybe that's what drives our lives. There's my second thing really I want to say. God provides, but maybe we get distracted by that idea of building more and more and more wealth, especially for the future, so that we can enjoy ourselves even more. And I guess it's not just about money and about houses. It could be toys. It could be the latest phones. It could be clothes. Perhaps there's something in some of us which says, I need more. I want more. I'm not really happy with what I've got. And I think Jesus is telling us that story to get us to think about our priorities. What is important in life? Jesus ends the story by saying, you see, it's exactly how that is for someone who piles up mountains of stuff and doesn't care about God. Life is not fulfilling, Jesus said, if we are driven by wealth and material things. I don't think he's saying we shouldn't have materials and we shouldn't have houses. I think he's saying that think about what our priorities are. And if we're driven to have more and be wealthier, that isn't really God's plan for us, and it certainly won't bring happiness. I wonder if a better plan is to think about what God gives us, the blessings God gives us, and be thankful for that. And then to use what we do have to get the most out of life here, but also for other people. How can we bless others with what we've got? So those are things I just wanted to say this morning from that story. I wonder what it says to you. But two things for me. God provides for us all if we were to share it. And what really drives our lives? Is it the pursuit of just more and more? Because according to the Bible and to Jesus, that's not really what it's about. We need to make sure we've got time for God in our lives, to listen to what he wants us to do. I've included in the pack of things today just a reflection about a man going fishing and a businessman. And I think it was a really interesting story for you to have a look at and to see what you think of that, about what is life about. I've also put a prayer in there as well to help you just consider what God has given us, and a little craft activity. But I've also put a 5-finger prayer in there, which is a really good one I like for praying for others and ourselves.